Joining me right now is New York Congresswoman and member of the House Ways and Means Committee, Claudia Tenney. Congresswoman, it's good to see you. Thanks very much for being here. It's the right comment. It has been speculated that Jack Smith wanted to take a jury in D.C. for that very reason. Assess this case for us.
Absolutely. Of course, there's guaranteed he's going to get an indictment in D.C. They almost just have to say Donald Trump, which is all you have to say to a Democrat, and they say impeach or remove or put him in jail, which is what they're lusting for, is putting Donald Trump in jail. But I actually think, Maria, this opens up something for Donald Trump. First of all, I think he can get this case removed because it's obviously not going to be a jury of his peers and a jury that is going to be fair. But I think Trump, as a defendant, could make this a huge case. He could roll this into the election that happened in 2020. He could bring witnesses in from all the states where it was a huge issue. Remember, this case or this decision in 2020, when Trump lost the race, was decided by about 42,000 votes in 3 swing states. So coming in and showing the election irregularities and proving that he believed that he still won the election, regardless of what anyone thinks. And I don't think anyone truthfully will ever know. But this opens up a can of worms for everything. Trump can go after everyone. I wouldn't even be surprised if we see him go after Fauci for what he did in his role in interfering with this election. And all we see right now is serial interference with elections. That's what we're seeing with every one of these issues, whether it's starting all the way back to the Russia collusion hoax, impeachment 1, impeachment 2, the January 6th show trial, the Mar-a-Lago raid. Now we have, every time good information comes out to link Joe Biden to his son, Hunter, which is really what it's all about. Hunter is the proxy to get the money for the influence peddling. I mean, really, what is Joe Biden selling? You know what Joe Biden's selling? Influence. And not that that's anything unusual in Washington, but he used his son, and then the money was laundered through. We see bribery potentially. All these charges could come all to light in a defense trial with Donald Trump. So I think the Democrats actually could have gone too far again on this issue.
Wow, that's really interesting, because you're talking about a length of time where President Trump could demand depositions and discovery. That takes time. I mean, Jack Smith is talking about doing a trial in 90 days. Would President Trump get a fair shot if, in fact, they shorten that time frame so much? Or is he going to get the ample amount of time to do the discovery, get the emails, make sure his lawyers are up to speed on all the evidence? And if that's the case, doesn't that go beyond the time frame of 1 year, which is when the next election is happening?
Well, Maria, who is a district attorney or a charging officer, in this case a special prosecutor, to decide how long a trial goes? Under our system of justice, defendants have rights. They have the right to subpoena. They have the right to bring witnesses. They have a right to prove that they're innocent. But the standard is that the defense or the prosecutor has to prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. Yeah. That's a really tough standard. And I don't see how they can create an artificial timeline. You've got to produce your evidence by now. Trump could take this on forever. I just think it's a real mistake potentially for the Democrats. And, it's one thing. There was a recent interview that Tucker Carlson was doing with Devin Archer, who just gave his bombshell testimony, basically talking about Joe and Hunter being in the same room. And he said Hunter is the expert in knowing the guy. In this case, Hunter is the expert in knowing the big guy, because if you put together the bombshell testimony that came out from the FBI informant from Senator Grassley, the 2 whistleblowers from the IRS, thanks to Jason Smith creating this whistleblower portal for IRS agents, and you put it together with the laptop and everything we know, this is a clear case against Joe Biden. It's really just trumped up at kind of ancient statutes being brought into play, not really relevant to Donald Trump. And you know what we're doing? We're criminalizing free speech. Yeah. A metaphor, fight like hell now is a crime.
Unbelievable.
This is what our country was founded on. This is a real dangerous path we're going down with this type of prosecution.
It appears so, but you just hit on something that's been so obvious to so many of us. Every time there's serious evidence against this president, Joe Biden, and his family through these 176 6 suspicious activity reports, massive whistleblower testimony, stunning testimony, or, bank records that indicate all those millions went into shell companies, which eventually made their way into Biden family accounts. The very next day, we get either an indictment of Trump or some extra charges of Trump. It's very obvious that they're taking the story out of the mainstream media's headlines so that the mainstream media has something else to cover. Even former President Obama warned President Biden about Trump's political strength during a private lunch meeting, apparently in June, we're told. According to the Washington Post, Obama also vowed to do all he can to help President Biden's reelection, Congresswoman. So a couple of questions there for you. On the one hand, all of this noise around important information about Biden, then you've got attacks on Trump the very next day. And what about this notion that some people are talking about that at the end of the day, Biden's not going to make it. He's going to pull out because of all of this, like you said, bribery, racketeering allegations. And who will be the Democrat nominee? Is it Michelle Obama?
Yeah, really curious that they would meet like that. But let's first of all look at what you said. This is all coordinated and calculated by the most powerful government, arguably in the world. The Department of Justice is coordinating this. You can see Merrick Garland, who I think should be impeached and removed immediately for his malicious prosecution at this point. And whether you like Trump or not, this is not what should happen to any citizen, let alone a former president. And then you have, it's interesting, you bring President Obama really has a stake in Joe Biden staying there. Many people think that he's the guy behind the scenes. So maybe there is a Michelle Obama in the wings coming forward, and they're setting this up, and that they're allowing I said before, maybe Obama's allowing this to happen to open the door for Michelle.
Wow.
Let Joe go. Let him get out of this thing without, by saving face.
Well, we'll see. Congressman, it's good to see you this morning. Congresswoman Claudia Tenney, always a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Maria.
All right, stay with us. We'll be right back.